Ryan Nobles is joining us now from Capitol Hill. Ryan, it wasn't 30 minutes ago that you and I were on the air here talking about the possibility that something like this could happen. And now he is, will you tell us, the reporting seems to suggest he is calling folks and telling them, has he filed anything formally on this yet?
As far as we can tell, he has not filed anything formally yet, Hallie, and I do think that's an important part of this discussion. But what we can report, my colleagues Kate Santeles, Julie Sirkin, Carol Lee, and Frank Thorpe have been burning up the phones throughout New Jersey and Washington to try and get this information. And we have now concluded through various sources that Senator Bob Menendez is reaching out to allies and letting them know that he does intend to resign in the near future. When that happens, does he submit that letter today, tomorrow, later this week? That remains an open question, but he is at least telling people close to him that that is his intention. This, of course, does not come as a surprise, especially given the fact that 44 Democratic senators have already called on him to resign. Within that group of 44 senators, there have been a number, including his seatmate in New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker, who have said that they will move to expel him, maybe perhaps as soon as next week, if he does not submit that resignation letter. When we say 44 Democratic senators, Hallie, it's important to keep that in mind. Democrats control the Senate by just one vote. They have a couple of independents that caucus with them. And then there are 3 senators who sit on the Senate Ethics Committee. The senators that sit on the Senate Ethics Committee are not allowed to voice their opinion publicly about a matter like this because Menendez is also being investigated by the Ethics Committee. So when you take out the independents, you take out the senators named Menendez, and you take out the independents and the Ethics Committee people that are sitting in this committee, virtually every single Democratic senator has called on Menendez to resign. So it's not a surprise that he would take this step and do this on his own. Now, the way we understand the process is that the letter of resignation would first go to New Jersey's governor, Governor Murphy. He would get that letter, and then that letter would be transmitted to the Senate, which would then begin the resignation process. Governor Murphy would then appoint a temporary replacement for Menendez that would essentially serve out the end of his term. His term ends at the end of 2024. And of course, there is an active campaign right now to replace him under any circumstances. And we know Andy Kim, the New Jersey congressman, is the Democratic nominee. He won the Democratic primary. Now, there are still a number of wrinkles that need to be ironed out here, Hallie. Yes, we know that he's telling his allies that he plans to resign. He is technically still on the ballot as an independent candidate in the fall election. We have not gotten signals definitively as to what that means for his political campaign. You would assume that if he's not planning on staying in the Senate any longer, that he also would not intend to continue to run for re-election, but that's a live ball. That's something we don't specifically have reporting on yet, so that's one of the things we're trying to drill down. But the big news right now, Senator Bob Menendez telling his allies that he does intend to resign from the United States Senate, ending a prolific career in Congress. He served as a member of the House and a member of the Senate, rising all the way to the level as the powerful chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. And it was that post at the Foreign Relations Committee where prosecutors laid out a comprehensive case arguing that he was using his influence on that committee to benefit 3 different businessmen with ties to both Egypt and Qatar, and in exchange received close to $500,000 in cash, gold bars, a Mercedes-Benz for his wife, and many other gifts and benefits as a result of that transactional relationship that prosecutors were able to convince a jury he was convicted of. It's also worth pointing out, Hallie, as we break down the fallout from this case, this is now the second time that the Merrick Garland-led Department of Justice has won a conviction of a prominent Democrat in just the past couple of months. Of course, the first being Hunter Biden. That was through a special counsel investigation, but it was through the Department of Justice. Hunter Biden found guilty on that gun charge from just a couple of weeks ago. And now you have Bob Menendez, a sitting United States senator, found guilty through this Department of Justice and is now facing the prospect of decades in prison. That's a counterpoint to the situation you see playing out.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.